Hey guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video. So, we'll be looking at this game from my chess club members' lens again. So let's talk about this. E4, right? Our chess club member plays E4, always plays E4. Knight C6, Knight F3. So, very good, very good. That he didn't play D4 right away. So, as I mentioned earlier in one of my Nimzovich videos that, I noted that in this setup, d4, d5 takes, queen takes, right? Black sort of gets the initiative going on this pawn. And so usually there is some sort of, initiative in the setup. But by playing knight f3 first, after d5, and let's say takes, right? Now knight c3 comes with a tempo, and it's more of this sort of, you don't have to deal with this pawn being here anymore, right? This pawn doesn't have to be weak anymore. It can stay there. It can just move one square, get the bishop out, the queen out, and the bishop out, and it'll all be fine that way as well. So, okay, let's go on. So, our chess club member played knight c3, d takes e4 occurred, knight takes, bishop f5, and now this is sort of starting to remind black of what is called the Caro-Kann, except that this time the c pawn is still here, right? And the knight is here instead of here. Usually in the Caro-Kann, the knight comes in this way. The pawn comes to e6, the knight comes to f6, and all that. But sort of starting to look like it. So our chess club member played d3, and some player would say, why not take? Because after pawn takes, I can capture white's queen, king takes, and I can castle with check, right? I can castle with check. But the thing is, our bishop here is a good bishop, and so we don't want to lose that bishop. And so that's the sort of thing that sometimes you might think, ooh, the trade, it looks good, the end result looks good, but you also want to think, what am I losing from this trade? So those are the things that go through the mind of a player. So I play e6 instead. Bishop f4. I play knight f6 now. And now I wanted to see if our chess member would play knight takes, queen takes, and go for the pawn. You might think going for the pawn is okay, but after rook c8, bishop f4, and queen takes b2, now all of a sudden comes this check threat, comes the knight threat down here, and all that. The knight threat, the bishop threat, it doesn't look great that way. So our chess club member did the right thing. But instead, bishop e2 was played, and it was a little bit of a miscalculation since there are two attackers and there's only one defender, right? So what I did was I traded down, and now I was thinking, is the pawn going to be taken yet? I can take this pawn, right? I can play knight b4 and come in and swoop for both pawns. Those are all possible options. So knight d2 happened, and I thought, what do I think about this? Well, first of all, I thought I like the g2 pawn. f3? And then I thought, okay, he blundered a rook, I'm going to give him a chance. Castles, rook g1, bishop h3, another blunder of the piece? I took it this time, don't worry. Rook g3, bishop f5, bishop d3, another one of those miscalculations, another one, and then rook takes, king d2, and our chess club member resigned because, there were too many hanging pieces. So let's think about this for a little bit. This was all good, right? Now, a move I would suggest here is knight g3, bishop g6, right? And now we have to think of the move h4. It doesn't look instinctive, but the goal is to trap the bishop, right? That's the simple threat, and this exactly happens in the Caro-Kann. Here, black usually plays h6, right? But there's such thing as bishop b5, and white has to think about whether the knight wants to plant on e5, right? So black might play queen d6, but after, let's say, okay, because d4, queen b4, and the bishop goes, right? So you have to think about, okay, h5, bishop h7, and maybe c3, I don't know, with the intention of d4 and planting, right? Something like that. So let's think about it this way. Knight f6, d4, e6, knight e5, a6, queen a4, knight, I don't know, knight d7, knight takes c6 maybe, b takes, bishop takes, something like this to keep pressure on this knight. But it's very tricky in these Nimzovich situations, because after h4, black could even play h5, right? And after bishop b5, there's like queen d5, and it's all chaotic. Queen e2, castle queenside, something like this. After bishop takes, queen takes, knight e5. Let's look on the fork for the 2, but there's queen takes g2. So it's all these like weird things that come up that really knock us off. So let's see. So the first mistake was obviously just not remembering to count the attackers and count the defenders, right? That was the first mistake. But it's okay. Sometimes we miss things, sometimes we miscount, and it's all part of learning, right? It's all part of discovering the curiosity. And now this move knight d2 sort of gave away another 2 options to black, right? Takes, and this was a misstep, and I gave him a chance, don't worry, I was pretty nice about it. Rook g1, I didn't give him a chance this time, I'm really sorry, but I just thought, first time, I'll just keep it to a first time. Rook g3, so this was another miscount of the defenders, but that's okay. Because the main thing was that our chess club member was having fun. That's the most important thing, is that no matter how many mistakes you make, as long as you enjoy the game, as long as you feel like, you know what, I learned something today, I had fun today, I thought about it today, that works out. That's all that needs to work out, alright? So, I just want you to make sure that in the game, you're happy with the way you're playing, you're curious, you're thinking about maybe, why is my opponent making this move, right? Why are they thinking that way? Or can you figure out what they're trying to do, right? So those are the kind of strategies a chess club member or a chess player should find to be able to have success at their game. So thank you for listening.